Hello and welcome to episode 13 of the All In Football Fantasy Premier League podcast, YouTube show, etc. I'm the FPL guru, Alex Rex, and joining me today are my usual suspects of Scott Williams and Tom Hughes. Today we're going to discuss the fallout from Gameweek 10 and look forward to Gameweek 11 and see what we can do to combat the ridiculous swings in points that are coming from defences, midfielders, and then the distinct lack of goals coming from attack. We've all got all of your questions. Thank you ever so much for sending them in this week, whether it be via Instagram, Twitter, or haven't had any questions via TikTok, but it's only for entertainment. All in Football Pod or All in Football P. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the video on the YouTube channel. Boys, how are we doing this week?
Very good, thank you, Alex. Very good. I would be better if my decision-making in fantasy football was better, but can't complain.
I'd be better if my decision-making in life was better, but yeah, not too bad.
It's we've started off with the deep and meaningfuls this week, boys. Wanted to get on to review the previous game week. So game week 10, highest points of 116, amazing. One of my favourite ones is the most transferred in is Mason Mount for this game week. Who wasn't even in the Chelsea squad. Most captain was obviously Mo Salah. Looking at that, his effective ownership was nearly as high as is physically possible in the top 10k, 199.17% effective ownership, which is insane. Every single manager that had him in the top 10k, I think, captained him at 9,887 teams. So 13 teams still without him. Other captains, Ronaldo, Bruno Fernandes, still getting captained. Vardy, Antonio, 2.9%. Lukaku, owners obviously don't play the game anymore.
Pretty sure Tom's dad plays the game and he captained Lukaku.
Of course he did.
No, I just shout out to my dad for changing his captain, and his team looked half respectable this week. So
the people like your dad, I love fantasy football. They just play it week by week and have a fun time, and then suddenly look at the team and go, "Oh my god, what's happened?" To
be fair, it's his first year, so we'll let him off.
Brilliant, great stuff. I want to look at total usage of chips so far. So 89.3% of top 10k managers have used their wild card so far, which is a relatively high number, and about 50% overall usage. We saw 2% used it in this game week overall. But yeah, only 1,000 managers of the top 10,000 managers have their wild card left. So maybe it was a good move to play it a bit earlier. I'm still sat here with mine. Kings of the game week. Reece James, 2 goals, eh? What a player. Back-to-back amazing returns. Aaron Ramsdale with one of the saves of the season, definitely, if not one of the best saves I've ever seen in that match with 10 points. Gabriel's a random one, isn't it? 15 points. But I think, did he get all 3 bonus points in the game or something? That's crazy, 15 points.
A clean sheet and a goal for a defender normally guarantees you the 3 bonus.
Oh, of course. Went off the back of his head. He jumped up. He wasn't even looking at the ball, was it? And it just hit the back of his head and went in.
First one.
Yeah. Matt Lowton had his week, everybody. Anybody on him? He has his week every season. 14 points. Come early, though. 14 points. Omar Deli, the 3.9 million Norwich defender who started and scored. And Norwich's fixtures are amazing. Actually, the next run of fixtures, no one's even bothered looking at Norwich's fixtures that are up and coming, have they? So I was looking at the fixture ticker today, and I'm pretty sure they're top of the fixture ticker for the team that is bottom of the Premier League. But
I'll get my Leeds passion out of the way really quickly. Okay. That's as bad as I've seen Leeds in a long time, and they lost to him. That's why no one's going on Norwich. They're going down. They're terrible.
Yeah, they are terrible, aren't they? Anyway, 3.9 million. Yeah. Your boy Declan Rice, Scotty. What a goal!
He's popping up. He's scored a few. He scored a few in Europe as well. I think it's his highest scoring season ever already, and we're just got into November. He's looking like a bit of a different beast this season. He's unbelievable.
He started getting some more attacking returns. Jared Bowen again, 11 points. He's the top scoring midfielder in the last 3 game weeks, obviously other than Salah. And I'm talking about mid-price midfielders. Salah and Mount have got more than him. But Bowen has done really well in that mid-price bracket. Conor Gallagher with 13 points. Henderson with 10. And Jorginho with 10 as he got a penalty. And then Cristiano Ronaldo up top. Interestingly enough, for the team of the week, I wanted to really have a look at formations just really briefly. But for 4 out of the last 5 game weeks, we've been looking at a 5 across midfield. And we haven't had for the Kings of the game week, for the best point scorers. And we haven't had 3 strikers up top for Kings of the game week since game week 4. And that was when Lukaku and Ronaldo both got braces. And I think someone else up front with them, probably Antonio at the time, if it was game week 4. Are we looking at really shifting our money towards defenders and midfielders? And we talked about this last week, and the answer was yes, but really limiting the money we're putting forward to strikers. And I think just the statistics from the last 4 or 5 game weeks have really hit home, saying, yeah, actually, taking money out of your strikers seems to be the way forward. Manager of the month for the All In Podcast League. Congratulations to Callum Burnett, our 2-time Manager of the Week winner. He is the 3rd winner of the Manager of the Month competition. Congratulations to Callum with 266 points, just edging out, oh my God, DCFC.
That's the biggest Cinderella story you've ever seen in your life, isn't it?
It's incredible. This is one of the first seasons he's been taking it seriously, and I'm sure he listens to the podcast. I know his wife Jen does, so big shout out to Jen. And I do hope you beat Dan this season.
We all do.
And we all do. Sorry, Dan. But 61 points the last game, but 4 points off the top. And Jeff Belcher, Mr. Consistent. That one, Havertz. Big throw out to his Havertz captaincy the week before. But 261. Really close, actually, overall. There was only 9 points separating the top 6. So, yeah, close. But well done to Callum, Manager of the Month, joining Jack Alcroft and Sandy Punjan. I got a message from Gavin Webb this week asking me to start handing out All In Football podcast mugs. So we need to start looking into getting some merch sorted out. So Gav just really wants one for when he eventually wins Manager of the Month or just wins the whole thing, because he is top of the All In Football Podcast League, 700 points total, massive lead. I was 3 points behind him 2 weeks ago. Now I'm sat here in 4th, 44, 42 points behind. Do not forget that it can change that quickly if you get on the right players at the right times. 40 points, he's that swing. He's that 39-point swing on me in 2 weeks. It's just the way it can go. Jeff up to 2nd. Adrian Chippendale stays in 3rd place. And I go down to 4th. And the podcast team sits there in 5th. Manager of the week this week. Lots of managers and manager of the week. David Byrne absolutely killed it this week. 79 points. I think I've done that there. Yeah, that's why. 79 points. And that was with Duffy coming off the bench for 0. He only had 10 players that scored in points, but James, Salah, Foden, Smith Rowe, Ronaldo, Ramsdale, all doing the business for him. That's his 2nd time winning Manager of the Week. So well done to David. And I've got to say, I think his team moving forward as well looks really good. I haven't got the fixture on the side. Don't know why that's chopped that off. But overall, we're looking at Salah, Foden, Smith Rowe, Havertz, all got good fixtures moving forward. The only liability really is Tierney sat on his bench. So other than that, I think looking at the team, it looks pretty solid for moving forward. If you haven't joined the podcast league, please make sure you do. The code is 2P5QC4. That's 2P5QC4. Get yourselves involved. Get your shout outs. Get involved with the managers, and we all love the community. So thank you ever so much for that. Scott, would you mind taking on reading out the All In Pod team with our 43 points so far this week?
I would love to, yeah. Foster in goal for 2. And then a couple of big defenders pretty much blanking. Cancelo 2 points, Trent 1 point. But, consistent Rudiger 6. And then one of the players of the season already, Livramento with 6. Is an absolute fantasy cult hero, surely already. He's definitely the cheap boy of the year, isn't he? Without a shadow of a doubt there with 6 points. Salah 10, steady away. First time he's not scored in the league in 7 games or something like that.
Yeah.
Son 2 points, but that could be a good option now with obviously Conte coming in. They're going to get that bounce. And I'm looking at Son myself because their fixtures I know look okay, I believe. Rafinha 9, he's the main boy for Leeds, isn't he? Vardy with 1 point, disappointing since everyone's brought him in. Tony very much hot and cold 2 points, and Hwang very, very unlucky. He was marginally offside last night. Obviously, they've got some more attacking returns there. The only disappointment there is Mr. Conor Gallagher, 13 points left on the bench. But against Manchester City, you were always going to do that, wasn't you?
I think that's one of the main things to when you've had a bit of a bad game week, and I know I have this week as well, is to really look at your decision-making processes and see if you've got them how right or how wrong they were. Going for Conor Gallagher over Salah, Son, Rafinha, you just, I mean, you're never doing it Man City this week, so nothing really to worry about or consider there. And actually, in terms of a team, I don't think we'll look too bad moving forward. We have got 2 free transfers, but 0.2 in the bank. I think the major omission from our team at the moment looks like Reece James or Ben Chilwell at the back, and we have got 2 free transfers to get there. But the only way we can really afford to do that is we can take Duffy out, but then we have to really, really heavily downgrade like Rafinha, or we would then go all the way down to somebody like Vardy. Would have to take him down to maybe someone like Ollie Watkins, who has returned 3 attacking returns in the last 4 game weeks. He's played 90 minutes every week since game week 3 or 4, and their fixtures don't look too bad. So there are options like that to consider. I think if
the last 2 days didn't happen and Nuno was still at Spurs, I think we could seriously, even though the fixtures are right, we could seriously look at downgrading Son and then enabling that. But he's got to be someone you got to look at now, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll have a look at our transfers. We'll be obviously using one of them this week, if not 2 of them. But don't forget there's an international break coming up. So going into an international break with 2 transfers is always a nice feeling to have. This graphic, for all of you guys who are looking on the YouTube channel, is all of Chelsea's lineups since midweek fixture started. That's over the next 2, next 2 graphics, next 2 pages. One of the questions I had in this week is James or Chilwell, should we jump on them now? But also another one was, is it actually worth paying attention to the midweek fixtures for Chelsea and Man City to see exactly who's going to play at the weekend after that point? In summary, no, if you're looking at the Champions League lineups, really. But if you're looking at the League Cup lineups, absolutely. Only Reece James has started. He started here against Aston Villa, and then he started against Manchester City the game week after. Same when they play. That was Brentford. That was. Let me just click on this. Yes, and they played Southampton in the League Cup. Reece James played in that game, and then he also played in the Premier League after. He is the only defender to play in the League Cup and then the next week play in the Premier League. One of the other patterns I sort of gauged from this is that no one other than Azpilicueta and Rudiger, and this is the reason I've done this graphic on the screen, by the way, to finish at the Norwich game, is because there was an international break after that. There was a break after that. No, there wasn't. There was an international break, after Southampton, wasn't there? But the only players to play more than 2 games in a row, which aren't including an international break, so two games in a row, more than 2 games in a row. Azpilicueta, who's played 3 in a row, and also it was Ben Chilwell as well that played 3 in a row, I think, which was Brentford, as Malmo and Norwich. So these are the only ones that have played 3 games in a row. Tuchel tends to only have his players play 2 major games in a row. Really, I think the other exception was Reece James. I think he played 3 games in a row another time as well. So yeah, it's overall not really so much. But if you're looking at League Cup, then yes. I would say though, off the back of looking at these teams on the screen, if Reece James were to play in the Champions League game this week, which I don't think he will do against Malmo, he probably won't play at the weekend because then he'll have played 3 games in a row. And that's not normally what Tuchel will do. But Scott, what do you think? James against Chilwell, is it worth jumping on them now? I'll move on to the next screen because that's got their statistics on it at points per 90, but that they've played. But is it worth jumping on them right now? Do we need to get both of them in our teams? What do you think?
Yeah, I don't think you have to get both of them into your team. There's too much rotation. I think you pick one of them, don't you? And hold your breath. I was going to pick Reece James last week and then decided on the conversation with yourself to go for João Cancelo, which is still not something I'm kicking myself at because hindsight's a beautiful thing, isn't it? Yeah. But yeah, Reece James looks electric, but so did Ben Chilwell. And what's happening with Chelsea this season is just like a freak. How they're outscoring the strikers, and it can't continue. It just can't. So what are Chelsea's run like? Is it?
Oh, in terms of Chelsea's fixtures,
Yeah.
let me click on to the fixture ticker. So Chelsea have got Burnley, then they've got Leicester and Man United, and then Watford, West Ham, and then I think that's Leeds. I think
all these teams. See, for me, I'd be getting Reece James and or Chilwell. I don't think it particularly matters too much. I think it's a cost for a coin right now, if I'm honest. I think they both get rotated, as much chance for rotation as any of them. But they look pretty set in. But we can look at it wouldn't be a surprise if they got rested. But I wouldn't be bringing both in, because if you bring both in, and we've seen Tuchel this season do wholesale changes at the back, which has screwed over a couple of the boys in the league, and a couple of blanks, and then all you need is one of your Duffys not to play, then you've only got your 10 outfield players. Yeah. So I think it's too much of a risk. So for me, one.
Yeah,
I'd
just agree with that and say if you're going to go to Chelsea, go one risky, one safe.
Yeah, I completely agree, and especially with, and this is something to bear in mind. And we haven't had bonfire night yet, we haven't had your birthday yet, Tommy, but I have to say, Christmas period coming up, we will see a lot more rotation to get through that time.
I would just like to say they've gone for a back five tonight of Alonso, Rudiger, Silva, Christensen, and Aspilicueta.
Okay. You just know that tells you all over that's exactly what I said, that he rotates his wing backs in a different way. It's not game to game, it's in periods. I bet you see Alonso start the weekend now as well.
Well, and I say for YouTube watchers, Tom dropped off, but I brought up the teams, all of the Chelsea lineups since the midweek fixtures have started, and basically the trends off the back of that. Sorry to repeat myself for people, but the trends off the back of that are that the wing backs don't tend to play more than 2 games in a row, and Reece James has been an exception once, playing 3 games in a row. But long story short, I think Ben Chilwell's played 3 games in a row once, which was against Brentford, Malmo, and then Norwich. But he was subbed off in the Champions League game, relatively about 60 minutes, wasn't he, for Alonso in that week? So when you're looking at the wing backs, the fact that James and Chilwell both don't play today will more than likely mean that they're going to play at the weekend. Not guaranteed, but more than likely that they're going to play at the weekend. I think if James had played tonight, it would have been 4 games in a row if he'd have played at the weekend as well. So anyway, those were the numbers that we were looking at. I think they're interesting to touch base on. Looking at more questions, I want to try and fire through some of these, because we had quite a lot actually come in today. And one of them that I wanted to take a little bit more time on was one that came in for, what are your tips for catching up if you're struggling in your mini league? So I wanted to start off with, because I think it's a really interesting point, that I had this conversation with Liam, our apprentice, just a couple of weeks ago. He was struggling in the mini league. His team was kind of had a few injury problems in it. There wasn't anyone in there together. And I actually said to him to probably just bank a transfer as long as you've got the captaincy covered for that week. And a lot changes in a game week. How many times have we sat here this season already? We're only on game week 11. And if we could pick a wild card team, it would be different every single week. It would never be the same. And some of the transfers, again, would never be the same. So sometimes taking that week when everyone's going to captain Salah anyway, which they are again, and you've got Salah, if you've got Salah, who I'm asking that question, then sometimes taking a week, banking a transfer, unless you've got any major fires, and then taking the international break and then going into the next game week with 2+ transfers is not a bad thing to do. And not looking back on the last few game weeks in terms of chasing points, but actually maybe even looking forward to, not looking at the fixtures maybe for game week 11, but start looking at game weeks 12, 13, 14 and start looking at the trends and trying to get a little bit ahead in terms of the transfers that you're going to be making. Instead of, because I feel like what we end up doing is we're trying to constantly catch up if we're constantly playing the last week. Whereas if you're looking a bit further forward, then it tends to be better. So I would err on the side of caution, banking a transfer, trying to look a lot further forward in terms of the fixture trends. I don't know what you boys think.
Sounds good to me, that.
Yeah, and don't panic too early and start thinking you need differentials everywhere to catch up. because the problem is you pick too many differentials and they all miss, and you miss out on the big hitters. So it's about being selective with when you go for the differentials.
And it's not looking like, oh God, I'm 80 points behind, I need to do something stupid and put like, sorry, I've glanced at my phone and saw Rafinha captain. Stay with your captain, chip away, chip away, chip away. Smart captain choices. Like Alex says, look a couple of game weeks ahead, get that different player in. I think that's great. And I'm basically talking to myself here and trying to tell myself not to do stupid things, because that's what I'm thinking about doing all the time.
Well, it is good to see that, and as well, Liam's sort of catching up as well at this point now, and then hopefully can bank a transfer this week again. So he took a -4 last week, did 3 transfers, maybe even bank again this week, then go into after the international break again with 2 free transfers, and then maybe able to make 3 moves. But that brings me on really, really well, actually, to the Conte question. So I've had 3 different versions of the same question. So is it time to get on Kane and Son because Conte's come in? Who do you think is going to shine under Conte? Conte. Boys, over to you. What do you think that's going to affect? How do you think that's going to affect Spurs from a fantasy perspective?
I think you've got to wait and see, haven't you? You can't just do it now. I mean, that's a big gamble right now. He's not a miracle worker. That Spurs team is horrendously boring. If they were playing someone equally as dull, which thankfully there's not many of those dull teams in the Premier League this year, honestly, I'd probably put Garden in World on the summit because they are horrendous to watch. So I would give it a week or 2. He's only just going into the club now. He's probably not doing training until tomorrow or the next day. Give it a week or so, and then I think we'll see a philosophy or a style of play that he's going to try and establish there. But I think Son will be the one to look at.
The 5 at the back thing was interesting. One of the comments came in about maybe even Reguilon and then obviously Aurier or Doherty likes playing in that position, something like that. Are these sort of players going to become options? Tom, what do you think?
Yeah, don't panic and all of a sudden just think Conte is a brilliant manager. He's not suddenly going to. I don't think that he's suddenly going to get this unbelievable reaction. I think that they'll start looking better, but it's not like I'm panicking right now. I'm thinking I need to get Harry Kane in immediately because Harry Kane's head may still not be in it when Conte's in there. So I'm definitely not looking at him. Son, maybe like Scott said, but Son was always the player that I'd get in if I was getting a Spurs player in anyway. I don't think you can say either of the wing backs until you see how they play in that system. So I just think you've just got to wait. Nobody's going to be rushing to get Spurs players, and if they are, they're going to get lucky if they perform well. I think.
What I would say as well, really quickly, Alex just touched on it. Don't worry about this game week at all. And then it's an international break that gives Conte 2 weeks with a whole squad, and then close your ears, Tom. To play a Paulie's team at home on Sky on a Sunday, that's maybe the time when you think he's had a couple of weeks. That's for me when I might start looking at him.
And the fixtures really, really turn nicely for Spurs.
It's a good time to sack a manager and get someone in. Give a new manager a good time, like a good set of fixtures to run at. You do look at those and say they could very possibly get, if they really switch on and Conte gets them playing, they could get easily 15 points plus out of those fixtures.
Oh, definitely. Leeds, Burnley, Brentford, Norwich. The Leeds, Brentford and Norwich fixtures are all at home. Then Brighton, Leicester, which aren't easy. Brighton, Leicester, Liverpool's not an easy run of 3, but whatever. No. And then Palace and Southampton. But those fixtures from 12 to 15, there's 4 fixtures there. It's one of the reasons we got Son in our wildcard team. Anyway, because he's playing the form of the player. I mean, I know he didn't look very good in the last couple of game weeks, but still, since we signed him, actually, he's not looked very good.
It's funny because, talking about Spurs, and everyone's talking about Spurs and what the impact Conte is going to have. And one of the big things I've seen today is he going to get the best out of Dele Alli? Are we going to see Dele Alli back to his best? And I'm just like, how many times have we had this conversation about Dele Alli? Like, I'm sorry, I just don't see it happening. He's gone. Too far.
I would say get Dele Alli in for the first 5 games. You
completely agree.
When a new manager comes in.
Oh yeah,
true.
In draft, I genuinely think I'm going to gamble on a Dele Alli for 4 or 5 weeks just because.
How much is he? How much is he in fantasy?
I don't know, 6.5. I think he started the season at. He's probably gone down from here now.
Maybe not for the Everton game, but like Scott says, after see how they do in the Everton game, give him the international break to work with the players because none of them are in their international teams anymore, and then go at them at Leeds, Burnley, Brentford, Norwich. That's quite a nice run of fixtures. Even Leeds one.
He's a fun draft gamble. That's, I think, anyway. We've had a few questions which are time to sell questions. So quick answers on these. Time to sell Rafinha?
No.
Tom?
No, he's got. Oh, well, you want a quick answer? He's got unbelievable underlying statistics. If anyone in the Leeds team is going to do anything, it's him. So I wouldn't sell him.
Yeah, he's the only one doing anything for that Leeds team.
Yeah,
bottom of the fixture ticket. He is miles ahead of every other Leeds player in terms of the statistics, but he's probably about mid-table in all of the other ones, from the as in like 10th to 13th in all of the mid-price midfields other than shots. So I would still say no, but. Yeah.
But Alex, Leeds will improve. They will, I guarantee it. And when they do, bear in mind he's only behind Bruno Fernandes for goal involvements in midfielders in the Premier League since he joined.
I'll just say one more thing, but actually leads me on really quite nicely to another question. But I would say to people, is it time to sell Rafinha? Is my one-word answer is no. But don't not sell him if you think you can improve your team, and if you think you can get like, I don't know, someone like Conor Gallagher in who looks really good, and they've got a good run of fixtures of Crystal Palace top of the fixture ticker for the next 8 to 9 game weeks. And that enables you to then upgrade Shane Duffy to Reece James or something like that. Then don't not do it. Yeah. But the question is, time to sell Rafinha and run away and hide? No, to answer the question. The question came in actually from you, Scott. Hard run of fixtures. But should we still crazily even look at Bruno as an option? Question. Well, he is. How many chances he created? You sent me that.
By far the most.
Bruno's created something like 12 more chances than any other player in the Premier League. So, and that was over recent game weeks as well, while they weren't putting the ball in the back of the net. If they actually do start firing, I will never have her in, because why would I? But for anyone that isn't a Leeds fan or probably a Liverpool fan, you should definitely be getting Bruno in.
Yeah, I look at the fixture swinging game week 14 for Man United, and I wouldn't get any United players in now until potentially game week 14 when they play Arsenal, Palace, Norwich, Brentford, Brighton, Newcastle, Burnley, and that game week run goes on for ages up to like game week 20 something. It's pretty ridiculous. So yeah, I would look at them at that point. I wouldn't look at them before that. So
no, but if you know you're going to get him in then though, and you've got him in your mind, you can start planning for how you're going to get the funds to actually make that happen.
Yeah, exactly. So to answer your question, Scott, not yet. Probably somewhere about game week 14. I would look. So also, if he's going to play at the back 5, then Bruno looks like he's going to be playing in a front 3.
I think if you're rolling the dice, though, maybe after City, after the international break, you've got a Watford team that are so hit and miss. A tough game against Chelsea, and then an Arsenal team doing okay. If you want to jump on him a little bit early, potentially, I don't know.
Yeah,
but the answer's no.
Should we be looking at getting Gray or Ben Rama and maybe even Mbeumo out for Cornet or Smith Rowe?
Gray definitely get out. He's had his moment. We watched the Everton game, and I've seen the game from last week as well. And he seems to have come into Everton and had such confidence in those opening games, and he looked like he was kind of never going to miss. And then I watched him, and he looked like he was getting the ball stuck up beneath his feet. He was stumbling. He was making, there was a lot of indecision in the way he was moving forward. So I'd definitely be getting off Gray. And Ben Rama's got horrendous fixtures.
Yeah. Yeah, I think in terms of someone like Cornet, his numbers look pretty crazy good. And also in terms of where he's playing, overall, I think he's definitely looking like someone who might potentially be an option moving forward. What do we think this week into where was the last question that I had? I wanted to lead on actually to another one that we had that came in that I thought that was quite good, that came off the back of that one. Best cheap
fraud.
That was always one that came in from AD Chip. So it was the best cheap midfielder under 6.5 million to get in. And they were looking at people like Cornet and Smith Rowe at this very moment in time when you're looking at the fixture ticker moving forward. Do we think Cornet is top of that list? Or do we think Smith Rowe, off the back of his last 2 performances, is
Smith
better?
Rowe?
Think Smith Rowe over Cornet?
Yeah, because Arsenal are more likely, from what I've seen, to put in good performances. They've got better fixtures, and Cornet, he'll play well in those games where Burnley have got the advantage, but I can't see them doing what they did last weekend against many other teams in the Premier League. Whereas I can see Arsenal doing that with the fixtures they've got. Definitely look at Arsenal got Watford and Newcastle. Alex, I messaged you. I want to get Aubameyang in. I'm not even being funny. I want to get Aubameyang in. That's two great fixtures. I know that the rest of them are dodgy, but it's almost worth it just for them too.
You've jumped to the what Tom might do section.
I know, but I'm just saying, get on Arsenal. You much better going for Smith Rowe than Cornet. I know he's had 2 good games, but definitely Smith Rowe. He gets involved in so many Arsenal attacks, and they are a more attacking team, and they have better fixtures. It's almost a no-brainer.
Well, let's do the what Tom might do thing. Because what are you considering this week? What -4, 8, 12 are you thinking of?
Well, I actually have already done my transfer. So I can tell you what
you have. Because if it's not even, it's Tuesday we're recording.
Got Champions
League midweek. Tom's done his transfer already.
Yeah, but it was a non-Champions League player, so it's fine. I brought in Conor Gallagher for Andros Townsend after I watched Everton be absolutely awful yesterday. And Crystal Palace, like you said, great fixtures. So I've got Gallagher in, mostly because I don't want to play Jamie Vardy against Leeds. So Jamie Vardy will be getting benched against Leeds, and getting Gallagher in allowed me to do that. But what I'd really like to do is take Jamie Vardy out for Aubameyang. And I'd probably, even though I've only had him in for 1 week and it cost me -4, I'd probably take Foden out just because I'm just so annoyed that City lost, and that would let me get Reece James in. I'm just trying to find out ways I can get Reece James in, to be honest.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. What do you think, Scott? What do you think your transfers are going to be this week?
Well, you tell me I shouldn't make any. So maybe none. I don't know. I really could do with a Chelsea defender in there.
Whichever one you get in, Scott, just let us know so we can all take him out.
Honestly, I was so close to putting Reece James in. Then Alex told me to put Charlton.
Oh no! Anyway, I've got to take that one on the chin.
Yeah, potentially getting a Chelsea player in, but nothing too drastic really. Pretty much hate my team, so just waiting to wildcard again.
Game week 20.
Yeah.
Let's look at the fixtures for this week and look at captains, and then wrap up from there. So early deadline this week: Southampton, Aston Villa kick off at 8 o'clock. So the deadline is at 6:30 on Friday. So let's all remember that's the case. Manchester Derby, Brentford, Norwich. Anything could happen in that game, couldn't it? Chelsea, Burnley could be another absolute spanking. Could not be. Burnley looked good last week. Palace, Wolves, Brighton, Newcastle. Then we've got a full fixture run on Sunday: Arsenal, Watford, Everton, Spurs, Leeds, Leicester, West Ham, Liverpool, before we wrap up for an international break. Captaincy, boys. Now, Salah plays West Ham away. But can we not captain Salah?
It's a tricky one. I can kind of. That's just going to sound a bit mean, but I kind of hope he gets like a knock midweek, and then we have to make a decision because it's a bit boring at the minute, isn't it? Yeah. I think for banter, just go for Ivan Toney.
You know what? If Brentford had played better at the weekend, I'd love Toney this week at home to Norwich. But to be fair, Brentford is a hard place to go. Like, they've already shown that. I definitely think you could back Toney this week. But
there's something you might do again.
Well, maybe, yeah, because I looked at that and I thought, do you know what?
Never doing it, everyone listening. He's 100%
Hey, I wasn't going to go Lukaku anyway, so just bear that in mind. But what I would say is they've got a very tough fixture away at a team that are very, very solid at the back. They've kept loads of clean sheets recently, West Ham. They are very, very good. I'm not going to lie, I'm considering that one. They have to run out of steam for a few games, and I feel like maybe this is it for Liverpool. You know, the Brighton comeback. Can I see Salah blanking for 1 week? Of course I can. Maybe this is one away at West Ham. If I'm going to back him to miss 1 week, this is probably the one in the run of fixtures.
Who's your captain then, Tom? Fair play. I'm excited. Who are you going to go for?
Well, Rafinha, obviously.
Nice.
No, I'd probably captain Aubameyang.
Okay.
Just let that one sit there for a bit.
No. I honestly don't know. If I was going to captain, I did actually think about Chilwell, because if he plays, he's probably going to get a clean sheet against Burnley, and he'll probably score because Chelsea wing-backs score every game, right? So I did look at it, but that's when it's interesting, because if Salah is going to blank against Liverpool, there are a lot of options this week. Smith Rowe, I even thought about Smith Rowe.
Right, so everyone, Salah's blanking, so this is exciting because we know Salah's going to blank now.
I tell you now, Salah's blanking this week. He is blanking.
He pretty much blanked last week for Salah, didn't he?
I did for him. There's just no one I like better than Salah this week.
That is the problem. I'll probably stick it on Salah, because who else?
It's your turn this week to entertain us for 2 minutes on what you're going to do.
Oh, flipping heck. Well, do you really think Salah's going to? I can't see.
Do you know why I personally will go Salah? It's because we're on TV, and I like to sweat my caps on TV.
Yeah. It is the late kickoff on Sunday as well, so you've got that anticipation. You've got the whole weekend to look forward to it. So if the rest of your team doesn't do well, you've always got that captain on. And the thing is, most people will still captain Salah, surely. I think it'll go down a little bit. I think you'll still see 90% of the top 10K captain Salah. But away at West Ham, that's just what puts me up. They are very, 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 very solid at the moment.
I think people should jump on Kai Havertz again.
That would help us out, yeah.
Jeff Belcher.
Yeah, Jeff, we really need you to captain Havertz, Jeff, if you're listening.
Is he one of your nearly men of the week, Scott? I've so far got an assist last week.
Nearly one of the week. No, the boy CH. I don't know if anyone saw the highlights of the game. Against a poor Newcastle side, he couldn't hit the shot on target. The goal disallowed. An assist and the goal disallowed. He hit made the keeper make a couple of good saves. He was expecting points for over 5, and he got 2. So that was my nearly man of the week. But
pause it. I think in terms of options, you're probably looking at, if you wanted to try captain James or Chilwell, you could do that. They have done amazing results over the past few weeks, but there's no one else that just sticks out for me in this game. I mean, I'll be captaining Salah this week. But
it goes back really quickly to what you're saying about people not panicking about catching up, because the majority of people will go Salah. So don't worry about not going Salah. Just go Salah.
Yeah, and that's the thing about the game week. If you are looking at trying to rebuild your team from nowhere, or you're not doing great, then this week there isn't an obvious other captain. There's no one out there that you think, because United will play back 5 against City. That'll probably end up being 1-0 or 0-0. Norwich, Brentford, anything could happen. Tony's not scored that many goals this season. Anyway, for me, it's got to be Salah. Any last word on it, Tom? You got your head in your hands.
I will end up probably 80% of me is going to Salah. I'll be honest. I like to always think of the different options, because when you're 20 points behind, the right captain pick can get you back to the top, but the wrong captain pick can drop you 20 points. And normally the wrong captain pick is a differential most of the time. That's why they're a differential. So I will probably go Salah, because I don't need to take huge risks, and maybe the rest of the differential. I've got Smith Rowe, I've got Gallagher, I've got the Rafinhas, I've got those players that might get decent hauls if they have the right kind of game. So I'll probably just I'll stick it with Salah. Whatever, be boring.
Well, we'll call it there this week, boys. So, but thanks ever so much for joining me again this week. Sorry, Tom had a couple of technical issues at the beginning, but no, thank you ever so much for joining us. Your questions always keep the podcast going. All the likes, the listens, and all the support you're giving us is amazing. So please don't hesitate to follow us on All in Football Pod and All in Football Pete on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Like and subscribe to our videos. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Get the alerts when we put a new video up, and also to our Spotify platforms and Apple Podcasts as well. Thanks so much for joining us, boys, this week. Good luck. Hopefully get some green arrows. I need a good week, and we'll probably see you maybe during the international break, if not before the game week 12 deadline. Bye for now.